Hello. So how's everybody? Is my name cool here? There's all kinds of great artwork. I was so psyched, but I don't have a chance to go look around. But I think the artists here are amazing, and that was one of my interests when growing up. Is I could paint and I could draw, but I wasn't all that great. And then there was a guitar hanger around my house in 1961, and I went down the basement, fished it out in the closet, and started playing it. And I got into music. I had my first band in 1966, and which a million years ago turned left. But I could express myself. I got to play guitar and I got to sing, and it didn't matter if you were lousy or good, because in those days no one around was in a band, so kids would be screaming at you from the bus if you were carrying a guitar case. No, they'd be like, "What are you doing, Marty?" You know, I love being able to just do that and play with other guys and some women singers that I played with. And it was this great vehicle, because back then it's hard to have a band now because everybody's got grandkids that I know. And you know, it's not like, hey, I'm going to call this guy and tell him, come over after school, you know, my mom made lunch and she's gone, we can make a lot of noise. So it's really hard to do, but when we were starting out, it was like you were this little gang against the world. You made your plans, you know, okay, first we're going to take over the street, then we're going to take over the block, then we're going to take over the city, and just take over the state, and then we're going to be on the Ed Sullivan Show, and first we're going to learn how to play these things. You know, you had your plan all right in front of you, and that's kind of the way I did everything. I used to visualize stuff, and you know, and I'd be disappointed in myself if I fell short of it, but throughout the music time, sometimes you'd break a string, or an amplifier would blow up, and you wouldn't know what to do. There was no, like, turn on the music till we come back, and you stood there like a fried egg in front of everybody. And yeah, I had to do something. I felt compelled, so I started just making noises and doing voices, and you know, sometimes it went over better than the music, because, you know, I might have been better at that, but I had no idea. So that's the way it chooses you. It's not like I picked it specifically. And when I was a little kid, I just was treading out voices and making noises, and all I ever heard was, "Can you not do that?" You know, and it was like, what can I do, you know? And it was like, whatever you do, don't. You know, it was so restrictive when I was growing up. But I lived in my own little world, which I'm sure everybody here is no stranger to. You're probably the president of it, too, right? Hello, President of Earth. You know, I got a story about that guy. That bastard, Nixon, he drafted me in 1970, and I was going to go to Vietnam. My draft lottery number was 30, which meant you're going. And they were stenciling my name on a footlocker, and I took the physical. I was scared out of my mind, you know. I was just starting to get with a band, and I didn't want to, you know, I just didn't want to go to Vietnam, because later everybody found out there was almost no reason to go there, and it was just kind of a big, you know, fake out. We've made so many blunders over the years, and that was one of them. But I remember that I got hypertension in the test. It's like sort of a high blood pressure, and I had flat feet, so I couldn't go in if I wanted to. So I was disqualified, but I never forgot that Nixon drafted me. And, so many years later, I'm on a show called Futurama, and here's his head in a jar. And I was like, "Billy, you want to do him?" And I said, yeah, sure. But I wasn't interested in the impression of Richard Nixon, because it was done to death, believe me. But I watched the debates in 1960 between Nixon and Kennedy was the first TV-ready president. You know, he had perfect buttered toast hair, and an ultra-bright smile, and he was all set. And then they cut to Nixon, and he was sweating, and his hair was getting matted, and he's like, you know, I feel that my collar, and then his beard started coming in. It just happened while we were watching. And he looked like a mess. And so it got darker every time they cut back to him. I said, "Mom, he's going to turn into a werewolf." that's why I wound up doing that with him. It was like, got those hippers off the grass. Face growing hair. Oh, and the best part of the story is, all these years later, my clip of Nixon, many clips of Nixon from Futurama, play on a loop in the Nixon library. He'd be rolling in his grave on a rotisserie if he knew that. I'm glad. So yeah, you probably want to know how you get started and all this stuff. If you have any speck of talent, don't let anybody talk you out of it. Your friends can be your worst enemies if you show signs of anything that is a little different from what they can do, and it begins to look like some kind of magic they don't have. Their interest in that they care about you turns to almost like, abject hate, because they get resentful. It's like, and then it turns into, what do you think, you're better than us? Where's all this coming from? I just want to offer stuff up, but it freaked a lot of people out. And they, it was very hard to own what you did because they were like disinterested. So I grew up thinking that it's something everybody could do. You know what I mean? Like, I thought, well, can't everybody do voices and stuff? And I just thought it was a parlor trick. And then I find out no one except a handful of people could actually do it right. My heroes were Mel Blanc, and I got to do Bugs Bunny in Space Jam.
And I got to work with Michael Jordan, Doc, the closest thing to a religious figure that we have.
And I met him, and it was a big, huge party at the back of Warner Brothers. And he was 5 people away from me, and people are calling his name, and his agent comes up. He says, "Let me introduce you to Michael." He knows his agent's voice, so he just perked up. He goes, "Hey, Michael, this is Billy West." And he reached over like 6 people. Billy. That's a good thing. And that's my love of Mel Blanc, who created voices. He didn't imitate many people, but it came some inspiration of his early on. And then there was Daws Butler on the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. He did all the voices, it's like, "Lum-de-dum-dum, lum-de-dum-dum, oh my darling, what's her name?" Huck Hound, Quick Draw McGraw, and all that. I loved all these people, and when I was old enough to read in the very beginning, I'd hear like 25 voices, and I'd see 2 names in the credits. And it just disintegrated me. I was just like, who, how? Who are these nutbags that are doing this? I knew there had to be a human being responsible somewhere. And I became fascinated with that. And it didn't really start coming out until they took away my spandex license in 1978. And now what are you going to do, laughing boy? And I was like, okay, I'll find something. And I managed, somehow I fell into doing radio. Someone invited me to a radio station and they just stick a mic on me and, yeah, so what do you do? And it's like, oh my God, all I kept thinking was my voice is coming out of here and it's going out to 1 million people. And then I stopped panicking, and I thought, you know what, it doesn't matter about all that stuff. You're not going, "Hey world," hey everybody, you talk 1-to-1, like I'm talking to you. And, but somebody said, "So what are you doing these days?" And I did like a bunch of cartoon voices for the guy. He took a break and he went, "Hold on." And he starts recording me in the other room to play for the general manager. So anybody that thinks they can do voices or actually is pretty good at it, and you have a demo tape, I would go where they need you. Like radio was the perfect thing for me because those crazy morning shows needed like a goofball who could do different characters and stuff. And it's a way to really understand what people like and don't like because you hear feedback. There's nothing like a live audience. If you're, because it's cold out there alone. And you know if you're dying, a twisted metal fireball going to hell. See ya, thank you. And so radio turned out to be a great thing. I moved from Boston and I went to work in New York on our sister station, and that's where I met Howard Stern for the first time. He was like, "Hey Robin, I just farted." Yeah, all right, very good. And I knew how good he was. I mean, this was when he was really like trying hard and pushing. And I said, this guy's like Larry Bird, you give him the basketball, just buckle your seatbelt. And I learned a lot from him and about performing. Then it was just kind of time to leave. During that time, I had been auditioning for Nickelodeon stuff. And I get this audition for a show called Doug. It was a very sweet children's show, and I said, you know, this kid's like a lot like I was. You know, I did a lot of fantasizing, and I was imagining things, and I barely would touch on the real world, you know, unless someone woke me up. Oh, that, you know. And you know, I auditioned, and I just played him as a, you know,
painfully average 11-and-a-half-year-old. And this is my dog, Pork Chop.